Okay, so we're about ready to start our April monthly BET Budget Committee meeting, and I welcome. I'm Leslie Tarkington, and I welcome Leslie Moriarty and Andy Deuce and Jeff Raymer, as well as obviously Pete Minarski and Roland Geiger, who guide us through this process. So our first item of the day, I'm sorry, our first item of the day is Public Works, PW4, which is a release of the conditions on the Eastern Greenwich Civic Center design. Now I don't see Al Manelli or anyone like that. He did provide a very detailed memo. And I did ask him one question about when the P&Z, et cetera, timeframe would be up. And I think it's up later this week in terms of being able to appeal. So we'll certainly know prior to the full BET meeting. But does anyone have any questions on this release of conditions or?
I thought the memorandum was very complete. I found myself, probably it's my limited stay on vacation, but I found myself left with no questions.
Leslie, Al Manelli's in the visiting room.
Oh, yes. I didn't see, I just checked a minute ago and I didn't see him then, but, oh yes, there he is. So we've just brought Al up to a panelist. So I just checked and so now he should be coming up. Here he is.
Les, it won't let me start my video.
Can you try again? Sometimes it's a little lag. You know, I'm up here north of the post road.
I am. Okay. Yeah, I'm sneaky. I got in there at the last minute.
So I guess maybe you missed the fact we've already introduced PW4 and the release of conditions. So I think Jeff has just commented that he thought your memo was very detailed. You want to provide any additional perspective other than you've provided in the memo, Al? Or?
No, I think just so you guys know, our next step is to get TSKP going so that we can get a biddable set of drawings either late summer or early fall, right around the October 1st time period, so we go out to bid.
Great. Thank you. So do we have other questions? Leslie, do you have any questions?
No, I'm ready to make the motion. So I will move to approve the release or recommend the release of conditions on 530,000. I think the motion at our committee should include subject to no appeal of the granted municipal improvement within the appeal period. I recognize that that section of the recommendation won't be needed by the time the full BET meets, but for our recommendation today, I think we want to acknowledge that we would like to wait till that appeal period is finished.
I will second that. And if I can ask, how long is the appeal period? It sounds like it's a pretty short period. Yes, Alan.
30 days.
The question I have is, are you talking about the final site plan approval or the municipal improvement?
So Al, maybe you could explain what is the final appeal period on each of those.
Well, the municipal improvement was approved back in November, and that appeal period has lapsed, and we're clear on the municipal improvement. On March 16th, we had the vote for final site plan approval. So I'm assuming that by Friday, that if there is any appeal, it would be made by Friday.
And that before you got on, that's what I explained the conversation that we had. And I didn't really break it into the two, but just the appeals period on the P&Z land use. So it'll be between, so Leslie's motion really covers this because the appeals period will be up by the time the BET meeting is held next Monday.
So it's all very appropriate, including the proviso.
Correct. So shall I call a vote on that?
Sure.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that vote passes 4-0-0. Thank you so much, Al, for being here. We appreciate your support and all your good work. We look forward to the new Eastern Greenwich Civic Center, or sending it out to bid, I guess, in the early fall, it sounds like. Yep. So question for you, if it goes out for bid in the early fall, whatever, you know, Labor Day or whenever you're talking about, when do you then expect that you would be ready to break ground?
Well, you know, Joe and I have been talking about, we have a number of things to do. One is, how do we close the Civic Center? We have to get the OGRCC offices out of there. When do we tell them they better start looking for a new location? I think a lot of that's going to hinge on the budget, you know, what gets approved in this year's budget, and then go from there. So I would hope that we would be doing, we have to do an asbestos abatement. So once the building's cleared, we could start asbestos abatement without even ripping the building down. So I would hope that sometime in, as maybe the latest end of January next year.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the additional information.
Okay. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. Take care, Al. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
So, Roland, I guess we hand the meeting over to you at this point for our economic conditions report.
The revenues continue to do well. Conveyance was almost $900,000 in March, which is a huge month. Building permits are strong. Building permits and conveyance were already well over budget.
Can I just stop there? Because you talked about a huge month. Conveyance taxes we had one other very high month, which was last August, were $895,000. Do you have any idea whether there were unusual transactions, or one or big or many, or are there many transactions? Do we have any idea?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to the town clerk's office. I can do that.
Yeah, if you can do that. And then I'll just give, I thought Jeff could do this too, but a preview of what's to come in our assessor's report attachment on the, with the residential, valid sales report, because, there were 80, I think, valid sales in the month, which is, a high number for March. Not necessarily the highest ever, but a high number. But what we see in this is that the average sales price was 20% over the, the amount that the full value of the value that the assessor's office has on the property, and that the median is, I think, 1.63% over. I mean, Jeff, I think it was 16%, right? Over the amount, right? It was 16% over the amount. I was looking at my numbers here. So that's very substantial, and it's up very substantially from last year. I mean, from last month. Last month, the average was 12% over the number rather than 20, and the median was 7 rather than the 16%. So, we're seeing values, increasing. So any information that you can get also, Roland, would be very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'll let you proceed. I wanted to stop there because this was a very unusual month.
So building permits is already over budget, and interest will be over budget by the end of the year at this pace. So they had a very good month. On the tax collections.
Can I ask a question before we get off the revenues?
Okay.
Yes, please.
So right now we're, I guess what I want to try to get down to is where we think revenues of these three particular items might be compared to budget by the end of the year. Looks like we might be 5 million ahead of budget if you kind of extrapolate from where we are, maybe taking out the unusual March we had. But is that the neighborhood of what you would estimate it to be?
I would think so.
Okay. Thank you.
So Leslie, just, I'll finish it because I don't think Roland really stopped here to say that we're currently $3.1 million ahead of our annual budget. So I think that then your follow-on question was a good question. Thank you.
The other interesting thing on the revenues is that real estate through March is $4.5 million below last year. And that seems to be due to the people who use the extension to pay their taxes. As of last Friday, there was still a lot of money in the lock boxes that the tax collector had received that had not been posted yet. And when I look through today, we have received another $3 million of tax collections compared to $200,000 a year ago in this time period. So certainly by the end of this month, we should be all caught up with the collections and the deferrals.
Yeah, just to follow on, Pete and I have also talked, Roland, and we're going to ask for an aging report at next month's meeting because, by that time, everything that you've talked about should be absorbed and we should get a good feeling of where we are. But I think given that that there was a delay under the executive orders of when payments could be made, this is looking pretty good. Thank you, Roland, for the additional information.
And as far as the expenses, we're running kind of according to budget. The budget was $7 million higher this year than it was a year ago. And when you adjust the $5 million reduction for this year and add back the $9 million of revenues that we have reclassified to expenses, we're about $4 million ahead of last year, which is consistent with the $7 million budget.
Can I ask a question? So I'm looking at your listing on the year-to-date budgets, 21 compared to 20, and at the bottom you have the transfers from to the other funds. Do you see what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't quite understand why it's running at $8.5 million now and was running at just shy of 13 million. Is that a timing differential,
no,
or is there actually a differential in what those transfers are going to be when the year's all over?
It's one item. It's the difference. And that is in 1920, we had over $8 million of capital projects were paid for in taxes. And in 2021, it's cut in half to $4 million.
So there's actually going to be a difference in the total when the year's all reconciled.
Yes, we only have half the amount of capital projects that we're going to pay in taxes this year.
Okay, thank you.
So if you look at the $5 million, what appears to be favorable spending compared to a year ago, and account for the $9 million of revenues that we put in, we're $4 million ahead of last year's spending at this point, which is consistent with an operating budget that was $7 million higher in 2021 versus 1920. So we're spending consistently.
Thank you, Roland.
So do we have any other questions, Andy or Leslie?
No.
No?
All good. All good to see.
And you asked your question. So I guess, do we have any minutes to approve?
No.
I think Jeff could weigh in, but I believe there are 5 sets of minutes which might be ready for approval. They've only been circulated in the past couple of days, so Jeff may not have had an ability to review them.
I'm not worried about Jeff's ability to review them so much as the fact that we didn't put it on the agenda.
Well, we can make a motion to add a new item if it's approved by 2/3.
Yeah, I don't disagree, although sometimes maybe it's better policy not to put something on. You think the public cares about our minutes? I don't know that they do. I don't even know that our members care about our minutes.
So I think that it would be better, to be honest, to get them, if people are ready to approve them, because I think we did hear, and I accepted the comments. I sent them back in summary form to all, to get them approved and put them up on the website where they should be.
Okay, well, I'm okay with that. I don't have strong feelings that one way or another. Maybe I shouldn't be the one who makes the motion, though. I'll let somebody else do that.
So I can make the motion to add, I believe it's, is it 5 or 6 sets of minutes to the agenda? So it would be the minutes of January 19th executive session, January 19th regular meeting, the January 26th budget presentation, the February, help me with the dates, our February business meeting 17th. And our March business meeting.
February 17th and the March 9th.
So those are the 5 sets of minutes. I move that we add the item to our agenda.
And I second that.
Okay.
And now I'd like, oh, you need to take a vote.
So we need a vote on that.
We need a vote. So those in favor? Aye.
I'm okay with that.
4-0-0.
So now I'd like to make a motion to approve those 5 sets of minutes. I vote on them as a package unless people want to separate them, but to move the, as I said, the January 19th executive session, January 19th regular meeting, January 26th budget presentation and public hearing, the February 17th regular meeting, and the March 9th regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Those in favor?
Well,
oh, sorry.
No, I was going to 4-0-0.
4-0-0.
Did you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I think Kath and Leslie deserve special thanks for all those minutes.
We're still behind, though. We haven't done any of our budget meetings.
I know, and we have 12, basically 7+ hours meetings coming up. So we'll get those all done. I mean, we're making some progress now. I think people are re-energizing, right, Jeff? They're doing it in their own way.
Are you sure? Okay.
So anyway, so I think unless there's any comments, I think I'd just like to comment that our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 13th at 11 a.m. And do I hear anything else from anyone?
Leslie, oh, sorry, Andy.
I was going to move to adjourn, but that may be premature.
I was just curious, Leslie, whether or not you're at home or hybrid.
Oh, we're at home because we knew you're not going to be around, so we are doing it. We did it especially for you.
I'm honored that my presence would have made a difference.
To be virtual, Jeff.
or maybe my presence is the reason to stay home.
No. We always enjoy.
I second Andy's motion to adjourn. Okay,
great. So is it?
Yep. Aye.
4-0-0. So we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Have a good trip back, Jeff.
Take care, guys.
Letting me leave.
I had to stop the recording first.